Hello, Year 10 English. We've laid a really good foundation thinking about some of the most important themes in the novel To Kill a Mockingbird. We've been thinking about racism, looking at the history of prejudice, particularly in the US, that led up to the publication of this book. So now we're going to turn our attention to think about how the novel has been constructed. The author, Harper Lee, has gone through, I'm sure, a painstaking process designing and crafting this novel to meet the intention that she wants it to have. So the next few lessons we'll be thinking about various aspects of how she's designed the novel to have the desired impact. So for this first lesson, we're going to be thinking about the point of view of the novel. We're going to be thinking about how the perspective and the narrative voice, the point of view, the way in which the story is told by this particular narrator helps to shape the reader's understanding of the novel. I mean, it was an unusual choice, right? This is a story about racism and rape and murder, and yet it's told from the point of view of a 6-year-old girl. Why did Harper Lee make this decision? How does telling the story from Scout's point of view help express Lee's ideas? That's what we're trying to answer in this lesson. There's a bit of text to read here. I'll help you out by going through it with you. Scout Finch is not only the main character in the novel, she's also the narrator. Everything that happens is seen through her eyes. However, unlike most first-person narratives, she does not confine the narrative to things that she has directly experienced. For example, she recounts stories from the history of Simon Finch and repeats what other people tell her, so that we see other viewpoints as people speak, making it possible for the reader to compare them. Okay, we're not just limited to seeing what Scout over on the side there, what she thinks about events. We get to hear some different perspectives, and as the reader, even if Scout herself doesn't understand them, we get to compare the different points of view and see how they support each other, challenge each other, and we get to make decisions about the values that are being expressed that way. The author's decision to use a child to tell the story is a very important element in To Kill a Mockingbird. Scout has no comprehension of the complex web of sexual fears and racial prejudice that so many white Southerners recoil in horror, that made so many white Southerners recoil in horror at the very idea of sexual contact between a white woman and a black man. It's not even clear that Scout ever understands what rape is, even though she does claim to understand. Okay, so you see, this is a very interesting and deliberate choice of who should tell this story, and it's not necessarily the most likely choice. With that little preamble in mind, I'm now going to get you to complete 2 tasks. You can see I've got them nicely color-coded here. For task 1, you can complete task 1 here. You get to choose either option A or option B. You only need to do one. So don't do both unless you're really keen. The first one, you get to write in words a sort of character profile for Scout. I've said include biographical information, that's, age and things like that, but also ensure you describe her personality, her values, and other similar information that really tell us who she is and what she's like. Values, in case you're not sure, refers to sort of your morals, your beliefs about what's right and wrong. Option B, if you choose to do this one instead of option A, you get to do something kind of similar, but this time you get to do it visually. So this time I want you, if you choose option B, brainstorm the different expectations being placed on Scout. What are all the different demands or ways that people expect her to act, or morals or values that they expect her to hold? Anything you can think of that's sort of a different direction that she's being pulled in by other characters or the society overall. And what I want you to do is create a digital poster that represents these different directions that she's being pulled in. So you'll need to think visually, you'll need to think creatively in order to create a sort of a visual explanation of the different expectations that are placed on Scout. So choose one of those pink options, either option A or option B. And then everyone needs to do task 2. everyone needs to answer the following 2 questions. Why do you think Harper Lee chose Scout as the agent through which she tells this story? In other words, the narrator, the person who she channels the story through. Why is that? You can use the preamble and what you've done for task 1 to help you answer that. And then question 2, this really gets you to think deeply. This is like VCE literature sort of question. So take your time to think it through before you answer. The story is told from 2 perspectives. This story is actually told, in a sense, by 2 narrators. It's told by adult Jean Louise Finch. And Jean Louise Finch, as an adult, is looking back and recounting the story from 6 to 9-year-old Scout's point of view. So let me just clarify that again. So we have the knowing adult's point of view, adult Jean Louise Finch, and we have the innocent child's point of view, 6-year-old Scout. Why did Harper Lee choose to do it that way? What advantage does the author have as a result of being able to move from one perspective to the other? See, at different points, she'll sort of switch the authorial voice, switch the tone a little bit, and you can tell, oh, this is actually the adult looking back. Even though for most of the novel, we're sort of getting just the child's voice, the child's perspective. Why did Harper Lee choose to construct her novel in that way? What advantage does it give her? At the end, submit your responses for task 1, so either option A or B, they're the pink ones, and your responses for task 2, the 2 questions there. And hopefully by the end of that, you will have better insight into the decisions that this author made in order to construct this brilliant novel.